Hi guys, my name is Ribbon Phoenix, and this is going to be part 2 of learning how to draw the human form from memory. So if you remember from the previous video, I had shown you the concept of invention that allows you to approach figure drawing where your brain starts to memorize in a very rapid pace how the human form is constructed. And to do that, we were inventing. So basically, to start out, we're going to just use that same concept, and I'm going to use the word invention quite a bit. So the first steps is really the basic steps. These are going to be baby steps that I'm going to show you, which are going to give us the specifications of creating the human form, which is the invention of it. So if you want to follow along, go ahead, but let me show you that the first simplest way to start out is just draw a dot, draw a line, and you can stop wherever you want, and it really doesn't matter how long this line is. Just make it free form. We're inventing here. And so the next step is to get the center, mark the center of this line. So usually you can put a small dot here, and you want to be at this step be accurate as possible. So the best thing to do is just take your pen and just put your thumb on this and just measure to see if you're actually in the center. Now I'm on an angle, so sometimes it's hard to see the actual center, and sometimes I'll just measure twice, and you should get into this habit of making sure that this invention that you're creating meets your specifications. So it has to be in the center. You don't want it to be a little on top. It's got to meet this criteria. So in our invention, the rules are that to come up with the actual construction of the form, we're now creating these blueprints. So the first baby step in creating the blueprint is to draw a line, mark the center, and then divide the line into 4 parts. So this gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. After we have divided the line in 4 parts, we're going to divide again and make it into 8 parts. And here I've done that like so. Okay, so this is the core construction of our invention. Without this model, our invention is going to collapse. So now this allows us to now imprint in our brain as to how the human form is going to be created by us, as it had never existed before. So in these rules, we're going to say that to start out this invention, we will create this head on top, and you can just create, you don't have to be super detailed here, just draw like an egg shape so it looks like a human head. And the next step is, after you've drawn the human head, we will say that 1/3 of the way down from the chin, we are going to mark out the collarbone. So if you divide this in 3 parts, this will give you 1/3. So I'll just make a small little V. So this is exactly where the collarbones meet. So this is 1 head, this is 2 head. So at the bottom of the 2 head, so the 3rd dot, so it's 1 dot, 2 dot, the 3rd dot is going to be where the nipples of the chest are. And this is where I would say determines the width of the entire construction of this invention that we're creating. So if we put these 2 dots too close, this will make the form very thin. So the rule that is that you can just take the width of, the height of the first section, which is the head, and just eyeball it to where the two nipples should be. So here I'm just going to mark out the two dots that represents the nipples for the chest. Once I've done this from the third dot, the next rule is that we are now on the fourth dot, and this is going to be the navel. So you can just make an upside down U, like a half U. This represents the navel. And from here we are now going to just make one line lightly. I'm using a ballpoint pen for this. You can use a pencil if you want, whatever. Okay, so once we have the V shape, it's almost all like a 90 degrees. It doesn't have to be, because it's our invention, and we're creating our rules. So once you have this V gives us, it's now going to give us the actual width of the structure. So just know that the distance between these two nipples is like one head. Okay, so from here I'll just draw a line and park it on, and make a dot here saying that the collarbone like kind of ends up here, and then do the same thing here and make like a line here. Okay, so I've got two dots here. Okay, so right now I'm not approaching this as and using the symbolism that has been injected in my brain from looking at human beings and symbolizing it. That's what we're trying to get away from, and that's what I want you to really take away from this. Inventing allows us to disassociate from symbolism. So once we have these markings down, the next item up is the center, and so this is going to be the crotch area, and you can make like a U shape here, specifying this. Okay, so the next item is now we need to determine where the hips are going to be placed, and to do that we would say that to now get to that point, just draw very lightly a line down from the nipple straight down, and from the other nipple straight down again, and then from the navel just a little down, like actually exactly 1/3 down, will give you the points of the hip. So if I put two dots here, basically what these two dots represent now is that I will go a slightly like maybe at an angle like this and go up. Okay, so this gives me my love handles. It's just up. Just make a mark like this. Okay, that's all it represents. So now, if these are the love handles, this now gives you the section, the point where the hips would actually adjoin. So here, I'm just going to lightly just say, just go like this down. I don't have to connect anything here right now. It's just understanding that this is actually the edge of the hip, and where the crotch was, just above the crotch, almost to the 2/3. So if I had divided in three parts, is with 1/3 we said that it was going to be the hip location, but on the 2/3 and a little bit down is going to be our second point. So this point doesn't have to be this far out. It can be close to a little bit close to the end point over here, or a little bit out. But this gives you the ball joint for the actual first leg. Okay, so now you've got these 2 points, and then we know from the previous design that I had showed you is that to create the length of the first leg, the legs, we would just draw a line down and stop exactly where the second head would meet. So I'm actually looking at from backwards. So this is the first head, second head, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth heads, right? Or you can do it backwards. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth, the bottom of the sixth section, where the if you had a sixth head here, like if the head was here, this would be the bottom of the chin. So over here, when I stop, I'm going to make a circle. Now the circle is always going to be above this section. It's not going to be below. It's always going to be above. And this represents where the actual knee joint will occur. And I'll do the same thing here, making the knee joint. And then I make the rest of the leg going down. So I'm not using the anatomical words right now to teach you anatomy. I'm just saying leg and the first leg and the second leg, because we don't want to get too complicated right now. Let's just keep it simple. So once you just draw this leg a little down, you're going to stop exactly in the bottom, and you can just draw a foot like this. It doesn't matter how long it is. Just draw it like this. And do the same thing here. And this gives you the other foot. And so now the other step is from the shoulder where it met. You draw the other line, the line for the arm, and you stop exactly where the navel is. This gives you the elbow point to stop. You do the same thing here, elbows point to stop, then go down where the crotch is, exactly where the crotch is, just a little bit down, like almost to 1/3. You're going to mark the wrist, where the wrist would end. Same exact thing here, where the wrist would end. And for now, just create like a little hand here. Doesn't matter how big it is. So now this gives us the basic structure of the human form. And now we also need that chest cage. And here I'll just make two basic lines here representing the chest area, and maybe from here, like 1/3 down, you can have the rib cage where the sternum is, and make like an egg shape. So remember where we had done the love handles, they go up this way. So where the navel was, we went up a little bit here, just above, a little bit above the navel is the actual ending of where the rib cage would come out to. So here I'm going to just now make like an egg shape representing the chest area. Okay, so here you can see that by now creating the blueprint, the basic blueprint, this gives us the understanding of how this invention, the human being that we're creating, the landmarks need to be exactly. So we know that we can make a line divided in 8 parts, and we create the head, and the distance between the first two nipples is going to be 1 head, and then the navel, from the navel, when we draw a V, this gives us the landmarks for the actual shoulder joint near it. And to get the elbow, where the elbow is, we stopped at where the navel was. And to get the wrist, we stopped a little bit under where the crotch was, almost like 1/3. And to get the love handles, we looked 1/3 down from the navel, and we went like this and went above, gave us exactly where the love handles would end and go upwards, and gave us the starting point for the hip joints. And then just above the crotch, like almost 2/3 up, so this is 1/3, 2/3 up, we specified the starting point of the leg joint. And then we went down, created the knees, created the circles, we went down, and then created the feet. But this now helps us understand, okay, so these are the actual landmark locations that we need to keep in our head when we're now drawing the human figure. So the next step that we'll do is we're going to simplify this just a little bit. Now here is going to be the actual jump we're going to make in our minds, where we don't have to create so many anomalies in our drawing to create this invention. As long as we understand these basic rules, where these dots are, these landmark locations, this will allow us to make much more simpler human forms, where we can now sketch it out in any way we want. Let's say if he was standing like this and his hip was here, he was standing on his side, right? But this is just allowing us to understand how these proportions are now being made. Right. So I think you get the basic idea here as to what I'm showing you. But so this is where we'll work on next, with how to understand this. Now this allows you to jump. So now when I'm sketching, I can now see in my head where exactly these points are supposed to be ending, where the elbow is supposed to be ending, where the navel is. The navel would have been here, and the back would have been here, then the buttocks would have been here, then the legs go here, the knee is always above here. This gives me the leg area, the calf muscles. And so this is how you start to now build the basic modeling structure that we're going to use now, that's to allow us to simplify the sketching form. So I hope you join me again for the next video. Look forward to it. Thank you.